The reflection of fear. In the eclectic atmosphere of an old estate sale, a group of friends, Ryan, Jamie, Taylor, and Casey, ventured through aisles of antiques and curiosities, their eyes scanning for anything unusual. Their adventurous spirits were drawn to items with stories, and it wasn't long before they stumbled upon an item that seemed to call out to them, an ornate mirror, its frame etched with intricate designs that seemed almost alive under the gaze of the curious. As they approached, the mirror's previous owner, an elderly man whose eyes carried the weight of untold stories, began to speak. "This mirror," he started, his voice a mix of caution and wistfulness, "is not just a mirror. It's been in my family for generations, passed down with a warning. It reflects not just your image, but the essence of your soul. And sometimes it reveals more than just that." His gaze shifted to the friends, a serious undertone to his warning. "Be mindful of its power," he concluded, his eyes locking with Taylor's, who felt an inexplicable pull to possess it. Intrigued and somewhat amused by the old man's dramatic presentation, the group decided to buy the mirror, dismissing his warnings as the fanciful tales of an elder. Taylor, feeling an unspoken connection, insisted on placing it in their apartment, a decision that would soon lead them into the depths of the unknown. The mirror was installed in Taylor's living room, becoming the centerpiece of the apartment. Its beauty was undeniable, but it also exuded an air of mystery that intrigued and unnerved them. Ryan, the first to experience the mirror's peculiar nature, noticed his reflection's smirk after passing by, a simple act he hadn't performed. Shaken, he mentioned it in passing to the group, trying to laugh it off. But the seed of unease was planted. Jamie, ever the skeptic, required harder evidence. This skepticism was shattered one evening while cleaning the mirror. For a fleeting moment, Jamie saw not their reflection, but a glimpse of another room, old and decrepit, as if the mirror was a window to another place. This incident left Jamie unsettled, unable to rationalize the impossible image. Casey, the most sensitive of the group, felt an immediate discomfort around the mirror. Avoiding its gaze became second nature, but the nightmares were unavoidable. Dreams of being trapped within the mirror, surrounded by shadows whispering secrets in unknown tongues, began to plague Casey's nights. Each morning waking up feeling less rested and more afraid. Taylor, drawn to the mirror from the start, experienced a growing obsession. The room's temperature would drop whenever they spent long periods staring into the glass, watching as their reflection seemed to age, then return to normal, a play of light and shadow that mesmerized and terrified. The group's collective experiences spurred them to research the mirror's origins, leading them to discover its previous owner's unfortunate fates. This discovery prompted a serious discussion about the mirror's place in their lives, with Taylor initially resistant to parting with it, driven by an inexplicable connection. As individual encounters grew more intense, the friends gathered one evening to share their experiences openly, the atmosphere heavy with a mix of fear and fascination. The decision to confront whatever resided within the mirror together marked a turning point, their bond strengthened by the shared resolve to face the unknown. This sets the stage for the climactic overnight watch, where the entity within the mirror reveals itself more fully, and the friends are forced to confront not only the supernatural threat, but also the fears and doubts that lie within themselves. Climax. As midnight approached, the atmosphere in Taylor's apartment became charged with a palpable tension, a prelude to the horror that awaited. The friends, gathered around the shrouded mirror, could feel the weight of the night pressing in on them, a silent observer to the impending confrontation. With a collective breath, they removed the cloth covering the mirror, and the air thickened immediately, a tangible darkness emanating from the glass. The mirror's surface no longer reflected their anxious faces, but became a window into an abyss, its depths swirling with malicious intent. Ryan, attempting to steady his voice, called out a challenge to the entity. "Show yourself! We're not afraid of you!" The words were barely out before the room temperature plummeted, their breaths frosting in the air, a silent mockery of their bravado. Without warning, the mirror rippled, and a grotesque figure emerged, its body twisted in agony, its eyes hollow pits of despair. It stared at them, and a wave of fear crashed over the friends, each feeling an icy grip on their heart. The entity didn't just reflect their fears, it brought them to life. Around Ryan, the room began to decay, the walls crumbling as he found himself standing in the ruins of his childhood home, the air filled with the screams of lost loved ones. He was paralyzed, the scene tapping into his deepest fear of loss and abandonment. Jamie, who prided themselves on rationality, was next. The mirror showed them surrounded by an endless void, their scientific certainties dissolving into chaos, whispering voices arguing in languages unknown, challenging their understanding of reality. Jamie's confidence shattered, leaving them kneeling, trying to block out the cacophony of doubts. Casey, who feared failure more than anything, saw their achievements turning to ash before their eyes. Papers with their accomplishments burned, and loved ones turned their backs, whispering criticisms. Casey was enveloped in a darkness that seemed to consume their very essence, leaving them feeling worthless. And Taylor, the heart of the group, confronted with the ultimate terror: isolation. The room emptied, the voices of their friends fading into silence. In the mirror, Taylor saw themselves alone, abandoned, their calls for help echoing unanswered. The entity, feeding on Taylor's despair, grew stronger, its form solidifying, ready to break free from its glass prison. But in the midst of terror, a spark of defiance ignited within Taylor. Remembering the salesman's warning and the research they had done, they realized that the entity fed not just on fear, but on belief in its power. Shouting over the din of their own racing heart, Taylor rallied their friends. "It's not real. These are our fears, but they don't define us." One by one, pulled back from the brink by Taylor's voice, they began to reject the horrors the entity conjured. Ryan stood tall among the ruins of his past. Jamie closed their ears to the whispers. Embracing the unknown, Casey stepped through the ashes, reclaiming their worth. And Taylor, surrounded by darkness, found light in their resolve to never be truly alone. As their fears dissipated, so did the entity's power. Its form began to waver, the horrors it created melting away like mist under the sun. The friends, united in their defiance, watched as the entity, now reduced to a feeble shadow, screamed in rage before being sucked back into the mirror, its presence extinguished. The mirror's surface cleared, reflecting only the room and its occupants, their faces marked by tears and sweat, but also by a fierce determination. They had faced the embodiment of their deepest fears and emerged victorious. In the quiet aftermath, the group, exhausted but bonded even more tightly by the ordeal, decided to ensure that no one else would suffer at the hands of the mirror. With the first light of dawn, they sought out the expertise of paranormal researchers who sealed the mirror in a vault lined with ancient symbols, meant to contain its evil forever. As they recounted their story, the friends realized the true power of their own spirits, capable of overcoming not just a supernatural entity, but the fears that had lurked within them. The ordeal had changed them, taught them about the depths of their courage and the strength of their bond. And yet, as they left the mirror in its final resting place, a lingering glance back revealed a flicker of movement within its depths, a reminder that some evils, though contained, are never fully vanquished. The story concluded with a warning. Fear, like reflections, can reveal more than just the surface, touching on the unseen depths within us all.